Introduction to Algebra, Part 3, Positive and Negative Numbers. At the end of this lesson, you'll understand the idea of negative numbers, be able to calculate addition and subtraction of positive and negative numbers, and also be able to multiply and divide positive and negative numbers. In math and in algebra, we don't just have positive numbers. So far, we've been using just numbers like positive 4, positive 7. We haven't put the positive in front of it. We've dealt with numbers that are greater than 0. But we also, in algebra, have to deal with numbers that are 0 or less than 0. And we see these in an equation by seeing a negative sign in front of them, such as negative 10 or negative p. If you see a plus or minus sign in front of a number or variable, that indicates whether it's positive or negative. So an example might be negative 27 or negative p or positive 43. Now, there's a presumption when dealing with equations in algebra that if there's no symbol in front of something, that it's always positive. So if you see 27 or 3 or p and there's no symbol on the left of it, that means that it's a positive number. So we know the concept of positive and negative numbers now. Let's talk about doing math with positive and negative numbers. Now, when you're doing math with positive and negative numbers, if you're adding a negative number, it's like subtracting a number. So, for example, if we add 10 plus negative 5, it's kind of like 10 minus 5, so you get 5. Or if you have, say, 5 plus negative 7, it's like 5 minus 7, which would be negative 2. Now, if you're subtracting a negative number onto something, it's kind of like adding the positive. So, for example, 10 minus negative 5 is like 10 plus 5, which would be 15. Or 5 minus negative 7 is like 5 plus 7, or 12. Addition and subtraction are pretty easy to get used to. Now, multiplication and division are a little more complicated. Now, we have a set of rules for when you're multiplying and dividing numbers that we want to be aware of. So, a positive times a positive equals a positive, and a positive times a negative equals a negative. And the same is true for division. So, a positive divided by a positive is a positive, and a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Also, a negative times a positive equals a negative, and a negative divided by a positive equals a negative. Now, the one that's really hard to get used to is if you have a negative number times a negative number. So say negative 3 times negative 3, it's actually positive. So negative 3 times negative 3 equals 9. And the same is true for division. A negative number divided by a negative number equals a positive number. So negative 4 divided by negative 4 equals 1. So let's take an examples of multiplication and division. Well, we know that 4 times 4 equals 16, and 4 divided by 4 equals 1. Now 4 times negative 4 equals negative 16, and 4 divided by negative 4 equals negative 1. So let's go through some quick examples. Calculate the following. P equals 4 plus negative 5. What is the value of P? R equals 3 minus negative 10. What is the value of R? S equals 2 times negative 10. What is the value of S? And T equals 27 divided by negative 3. What is the value of 3? Go ahead and hit pause, answer these 4 questions, and then proceed on and we'll give you the answers. Okay, so the answer to the first one, 4 plus negative 5, is negative 1. Remember, when you're adding a negative number, it's like subtracting, so it'd be like 4 minus 5. For the second one, we're subtracting a negative number, and remember, subtracting a negative number is like adding a positive number, so 3 plus 10 is 13. Now with S, remember, a positive times a negative is a negative, so 2 times negative 10 is negative 20. And for T, remember, a positive divided by a negative is a negative, so 27 divided by negative 3 is negative 9. So that ends lesson 3. take some time just adding and subtracting and multiplying, dividing positive, negative numbers and see what you come up with. If you have a calculator, you can do it there. You can also simply go to Google and put in the equation and it'll do it for you there. We'll see you in the next lesson.